of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I'm going to call to order the July 6, 2011 Grossdale Township Zoning Board of Appeals. Is anybody requesting any additions or deletions to the agenda at this time? Hear none, I'll accept a motion regarding the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of October 20th, 2010. Is there support?
Support.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. With that, we'll move to appeal number 11001, which for July 6th is a nice number. Mr. Ming Gee of 24115 East River has made a request for a hearing for a variance to enlarge the non-conforming residence on the east side of East River Road. Somebody want to present to the board the application?
I'm Don Brown, Unity House Movers, working with Mr. Ming in this project.
Well, you need to explain to us why we need to make a special exception to the Grossdale Township ordinances for your client, and bend the rules or make a variance on the rules for him, and what's particular about his particular piece of property that requires us to make a special exception.
Currently, Mr. Ming has a one-story house with a basement under it. The basement was built below the lake level. Even though the seawall was there, it was built too low, and he's pumping water continuous. So he's looking to raise the basement floor 4 foot, and in conjunction, raise the house, and then add block to that structure and another slab, so he still has a basement, but it's just above the floodplain to keep him from pumping water constantly. That's basically what he's looking to do. Make the house more livable.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Go ahead.
When you raise this, is this going to add an additional story, full story to the house?
No. There's an existing basement currently. We're raising the floor in the house, 4 foot on the floor, and then raising the house up so he gets his headroom back in the basement, so it doesn't add any square footage, or it doesn't add anything.
Okay.
The only thing that changes is where his house is sitting right now, it's about 2 foot below the existing garage, peak to peak, and it put it about 2 foot above the existing garage, peak to peak.
Okay, and I have a question. Is this? I think I remember this house came before the board before to put the garage there, and because it exceeded the height for that property already. Correct? Is that correct?
I don't know.
He did get variance to have a garage.
Brian, didn't we recently have an application to increase a non-conforming structure, which was the garage, and increase the height?
Correct. What it was a detached accessory building in a street front yard, and that did appear before you in 2009. That variance was granted, and if you've had a chance to drive by, that structure has been built.
I guess that's the one question I had. When we were here and we looked at all of those issues and all of the presentations that were made to us about why the garage was only needed to be 2 foot higher, and we looked at all different kinds of issues about whether or not 2 foot, how much 2 foot was going to impact vision and everything else, nobody ever brought up all of these issues that you've had with your house for how long now? I mean, that's the problem that I have. I don't understand.
Actually, Mr. Ming did file for all the when he filed for the garage, all the paperwork was submitted for raising the house. Also, he didn't think he needed. He has a letter. Well, he has a letter from.
No, I did not submit for the house.
On the DEQ.
Oh, the MEDQ.
Yeah.
In 2009?
Yes.
Yeah.
How come you didn't tell us about that when the other application came up?
I didn't know if I could afford it to do it at the time.
Okay.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand. This is going to raise the house 2 feet higher than the garage, which we already granted a variance for,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
If memory serves me correctly, the garage was not to be higher than the house. So it was on an equal plateau, if you will. And
No.
so now the house will be taller.
No, Brian, do you have the,
I don't, unfortunately, I don't have the file with me, but there was no height variance granted for the garage.
Equal to
The
the-
garage complies with the height restrictions for detached accessory buildings. The only variance was related to its placement on the property. It was a front yard, and I believe there were some setback issues. I think it was like 3 variances, 2 setbacks and yard location.
okay, any more questions for the applicant from the board?
Yeah, I have a question. I'm looking at your drawing. It looks like the garage elevation is going to be equal to the house elevation, is that correct? Looking at the garage elevation is 583.76.
Looking at the
And then your,
the Lakeview drawing, is that what you're looking at? You look at the East Lakeview
I'm
drawing?
looking at the True North surveying drawing.
Okay, I don't have that in front of me, but that doesn't have any elevations on it.
Yeah, it does.
It has, all it has is benchmarks for where the floor levels are, correct?
It doesn't have, it's not benchmark.
Yeah, these are benchmarks for the floor. The floor of the garage currently is 1 foot above the house floor, and according to benchmarks.
So what is the elevation of the floor of the house?
Elevation of the floor,
The new elevation.
the new elevation of the basement floor would be 580. And then, so that...
580?
580, which is floodplain, well, 570.
Which is the flood, which
Yeah,
is...
which is just above the seawall, is what we're going by is for the slab in the basement. It's currently 4 foot below that, so it's, I get that on here. Existing basement is
576.
576, which puts them below the lake.
So the drawing that I'm looking at, maybe I'm reading it wrong, I don't know, but it looks like the floor elevation is 583.70. Is that what you got?
Yeah, 583.
0.7,
Now that looks... 583, yeah. That should be right. That'd be for the finished floor, for the first floor, not the basement. So the garage is... Oh yeah, basement's 576. I'm not sure which it is because they have 577 and they have 583 all pointing at the same corner. I'm not sure which is which on this. If you see it, it's pointing to the exact same corner. So I'm assuming the 577 is the 578 might be the wall.
yeah, 577 is the seawall.
Yeah, the wall. Oh no, that's not seawall there.
No, it's the wall.
It's a retaining wall.
Well, it says seawall. So
Okay,
the-
so if you come in from, I'm looking at the corner on the corner of the house, and it says 12 foot, yeah, 577.83 would be the retaining wall, and then 583 would be the existing first floor currently. And the garage, that put the garage at 584, almost 585, is the garage floor, the concrete on the garage floor.
that's not what this survey shows.
583.
Is this
583.76.
Yeah. I don't know. All I shot was floodplain off the seawall.
So my only point is that you're saying you're going to be raising the structure 4 foot. So based on the data that we have here, I mean, it's going to be more than 4 foot, isn't it?
No, it's 4, no. He's got to fill in 4 foot and raise 4 foot.
So that's,
So the existing floor now, what elevation do you have on the existing floor?
It says on here,
this is what's going to be twice the 576.
no, 576.2, 1.12. 576.12 is
576?
yeah, going off of this.
And then you got to raise it to 583?
Yeah.
So what is-
582 or 580. I'm sorry, 580. That's 4 foot.
That's not what this shows.
576 and 4 foot is 580.
Well, excuse me, but didn't you just say that you were going to fill it 4 feet and then raise it 4 feet?
No, the basement floor, if it's at 576, when you fill it in 4 foot, that puts the basement floor 580, which is what your floodplain is. Well, it's 579. So I'm going to see how close we can get to 579. But regardless, whatever I bring that up, I have to bring the house up so you maintain the room in the basement. Otherwise, he's only got 6 foot left.
Yeah, but if you look at the north end of the drawing that you provided to us, you gave us 576.12 on the floor. And then the back side, on the west side of the building, it says 583.70 floor, right? So are you going to increase the 583.70 by 4 feet as well?
I don't see where you're getting 583.70. I got 583.63 on this one. I got 583.63.
Okay, right here, it says 576.12, right here.
Yeah, that's the basement floor.
Okay. What's this right here? 583.70, it says floor.
That's your first floor. That's what it says up here too, 583.63. He's got so many marks on here, he's got 3 different corners and 3 different measurements.
Well, we're just trying to understand what you presented to us.
Can I just
Yeah,
chime in real quickly? So, trying to help explain this so everybody understands it. The street front side of this is a 1-story. This is essentially like a walkout house. The street front side is a 1-story. When you get to the rear, the waterfront side, we have a 2-story house. So that's where those elevation differences are.
I understand. What I don't understand is, are you going to add 4 feet to where it's 576 only, and not the where it's 583, where it says 583 in the drawing? Are you adding 4 feet to it?
No, we're adding 4 foot to that too. The floor has to come up to make the room for the basement.
Okay.
Whatever we raise the floor, we have to raise the house.
So where it's 576, you're going to raise it 8 feet?
No, 4 foot.
Okay.
I don't understand.
It sounds like the one measurement is the floor of
It's
the
a
basement.
concrete floor in the basement, and one is the wood floor in the house.
And so if
So
you
when you add
lift
4
the whole
foot to
house
both-
4 feet, you lift 4 feet to both.
Both measurements change 4 foot, not 8 foot.
Yeah, but my point is, when you start off with the existing elevation of the basement is 576. That's the existing elevation.
Correct.
And you want to get to, you're telling me you want to get to 580.
Right,
You want to raise it 4 foot. Okay, I said that's fine. That gets you to the floodplain level.
right.
But then the drawing doesn't show that. It shows 583.
How you doing?
576 on the drawing.
On the west side of the wall, it says 583.
That's the existing first floor. We're talking about 2 different floors. We're talking about the basement floor, and you have 2 different measurements. 583 is a wooden floor.
So that 583 then you had because if you're raising everything 4 foot, that would be 4
587.
foot. That would be 4 foot plus 583 to 587 would be your
Correct,
first floor level.
right.
That'd be the first floor level. 587 is the first
Correct.
floor level.
And
Okay.
from the street in the raised position, the top of the house is only 14 foot above the street. So to give you some perspective, standing on the street right now, you're looking at the top of the house. When you raise it 4 foot, well, you're looking a little bit about mid-span on the roof. When you raise it that 4 foot, from the street, center street, which most townships take their measurements from, it's 14 foot in the raised position. So it's not an overpowering structure that we're raising it up.
Okay, so the basement's going to be raised 4 foot to 580, and then your first floor is going to be 587 or whatever it is.
4 foot.
It'd be another 4. Be
Yeah,
around 587. So your
587,
ceiling height's going to be 7 foot, maybe
8 foot.
8 foot on the ceiling height. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I understand that now. Thank you.
Okay.
I have another question. According to the ordinance, it says that, and I just wonder if you have the information, is that it says that provided such repairs or improvements do not exceed 50% of market value as described in paragraph H. So it's a 50% figure. If you're spending more than 50% to do this construction, then you've got another problem.
Right. What we've already established, he went and got a what was it called? Appraisal, and turned it into her and then my contract was turned in to show it isn't.
So it met that criteria.
Yeah, it met the criteria.
So the improvements are not going to exceed 50% of the building's market value?
No.
Okay, Brian, I have a question.
Absolutely.
Under the ordinance, how do you measure the height of a building?
To midpoint,
From where?
from grade.
Okay, so if you increase the grade, where do you measure from in the new grade, or the new building?
From the new grade.
Okay, so why are they in front of us?
Because we took the approach that the height increase, it was deemed an enlargement. If you look at, unfortunately, the ordinance does not define enlargement. If you look at my letter, you'll note that that's the key to that whole 50% rule. They comply with that for safety-related repairs. However, the improvements cannot result in an enlargement of the structure. Now, it's not being enlarged in terms of footprint or floor area. However, the 4-foot height increase, we took the conservative approach, deemed that, quote-unquote, an enlargement, and brought them before you.
So you're increasing the volume?
No.
No, you're not increasing.
No, because
the
it's
volume.
all fill. There's not a crawl, there's
You're
not
not
a
increasing the
basement.
volume. If you're not increasing the volume, not increasing the footprint,
I completely misunderstood all the information we had in front of us. I thought that they were exceeding the 50%, that's why they're in front of us.
No, because it's getting taller. By strict definition of enlargement, you can define getting taller as enlarging.
And it also,
Well, let me ask you a question then. If you put a basement under a building, do you make it taller?
It depends. If you raise it to do so, then yes. If you dig it out and grades don't change, then no. In this case, grades are changing. The building will be taller.
Relative to,
Relative to what it is now. It will be approximately 4 feet taller. When you look at it from the road, it will be approximately 4 feet taller than it is now. When you look at it from across the street, it will be approximately 4 feet taller than it is now. That's a height increase.
if I might say one
I
thing.
guess I have a problem with enlargement, the definition of enlargement. That's because I don't see it as enlarging anything.
That was, look, guys, we've been debating this for probably 2 months now. And the decision was to take the conservative approach because you can make the case that getting taller, by definition, is an enlargement. It is an increase in height, which you can claim to be an enlargement. That is why they are in front of you.
but square footage remains the same.
Absolutely.
Footprint's the same.
The initial idea was to process this administratively. When we looked at the ordinance, we took the conservative approach, brought them in front of you.
In the future, I would have liked to have seen you take the position that that's the township's position and allow us as a zoning board to make a determination whether that's correct or not.
That was another option. We certainly could have brought it forward for an interpretation. And our thought was that really this has been going on for the better part of 2 months, and if the determination was that a variance was needed, then Mr. Ming has cost another month plus in getting this project going.
Okay, and then what are we going to do if we deny the variance and he decides to put it in?
Then it's an enforcement issue.
Okay.
Okay, what is the...
And then we're right back here, and that's why we could have resolved it if it would have been an interpretation.
And if your interpretation deemed that it was an enlargement, which per definition it is, then he would have had to come back and get a variance. So we essentially skipped that step to have a more efficient process.
Okay.
I have one more question for Brian. Are there any other issues with this construction that cause a variance? Are any obstruction of neighbors' views and triangles and?
Nope.
Okay.
Brian, what about all the permits?
If approved, they'll have to get their building permits to do this. They already have a DEQ permit for the work in the floodplain. So all they would need is construction permits through Mr. Thompson.
Is there a drainage plan that exists over this, not over this property? Okay.
That I don't know.
Will any of the walls have to be raised also or not?
Well, that's basically what we're doing, raising the house and filling in on top of the existing basement 4 foot.
Okay, so
You're just building
the
a
surrounding walls aren't going to need to be adjusted at all?
just up. Yeah, just
Okay.
building.
It will be up then?
Yeah, building up. But I did want to make one note that even at its raised elevation, it still is inside or way under the maximum height you can use. So it's not a problem as far as maximum height goes.
When I meant walls, I meant the retaining walls and the
Actually, on the retaining wall, it's now there's a 4 foot retaining wall that he's going to fill in. So that's actually going to be flat now.
okay.
So that it's in there to fill in the basement and the retaining wall, all the retained area, and it's all filled in with stone.
Yeah, I just have one more question. When you talk about safety-related, how do you define, I mean, how is it safety-related in your mind, what's happening to you now, and then your improvement would be safer? How do you define that?
Safer from floods and constant pumping and his electrical bill.
So the safety issue would be what?
The basement flooding because it's below the lake level.
So flooding is a safety issue?
Yes.
Any more questions from the board? Anybody in the audience would like to address the board on this particular issue? Hearing none. Any more comments, questions? Okay, I'll call for a motion. This is going to be the problem, but we'll see.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't have the technical wording, but I'd like to put forward a motion to approve this request.
I would second the motion.
Yeah, Rita, I think it's a safety-related issue that we're talking about, so I think if you're making a motion to approve it, and you're saying that, yes, you agree that it's a safety issue, and it would satisfy that piece.
Can we make that the motion, Lori? Thank you.
How about, can I suggest two different levels? One, first, that it's a safety issue, and that because he is not exceeding the 50%, it's a safety issue, and that the issue of whether or not it's an actual enlargement or not is in question, and given the safety aspects of the request, determine that particular enlargement issue would not apply.
Thank you.
Yeah. See, I still have problems with the enlargement piece, but like Brian says, they've been debating that for quite a while, but I don't understand that piece of it, so but I still see it.
Well, I think we just make a note of it, that was presented, and that's a potential issue, and that we understood that was a potential issue, and we took that into consideration. The potential gray area of the language, but that because of the safety issue, that it was approved. But I think the motion should indicate that we acknowledge the potential issues with the language regarding the definition of enlargement, given the planned modifications.
Yep.
Okay, Jim? Yes. Okay. Any more discussion? So my understanding is it's a motion to approve based on the safety issues as presented in the application and this evening, and a review and consideration of the definition of enlargement by the board.
Yeah.
Okay? Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Are there any comments? Does anybody have any comments? Lori, do we have anything for a next meeting date?
Not for July, but we may have one in August.
Anybody in the audience like to address the board on any issue other than the what was presented? We're getting to be like the full board with a full house here. Maybe they came for the closed session.
The minutes approved?
No. No, this was the right meeting.
There was a vacancy on the zoning board. Who's the vacancy for? I saw that.
No, we have a vacancy for an alternate.
For an alternate, oh, okay.
Right. Which I think under our ordinance allows for, if there's a planned, if somebody has a planned absence, or if there's a previously identified conflict of interest, the alternate could sit. And they certainly would be welcome to sit with us at all the board meetings. They just wouldn't be able to vote if the full board is here. Okay? Anybody have anything else? All right, with that, we stand adjourned.